I see all the time successful professionals months after their weight loss surgery finding themselves mindlessly eating in the evenings, staying in their kitchen, mechanically reaching for whatever is available. Not because they're hungry, not because they're craving anything specific. Does that sound familiar? Here's what's wild. I'm a certified nutrition coach and a bariatric coach who specializes in post surgical eating. And I literally teach people how to stop this exact behavior. But what I've discovered after working with dozens of post surgical clients is that everyone, including most medical teams, gets this completely wrong. They think it's about hunger. They think it's about willpower. They think it's about portion control. It's not. The real reason why you can't stop grazing after weight loss surgery has absolutely nothing to do with your stomach size, your hunger hormones, or your self control. And once you understand what's actually happening, you can stop it completely without relying on willpower that always fails you anyway. If you're new here, I'm Jessica Lawson, founder of the Bariatric Success Academy, and I've been exactly where you are. I started my weight loss journey at 290 pounds, exhausted and struggling with my relationship with food. And today, I've not only maintained my surgical weight loss, but I've built a successful coaching practice, helping post surgical clients break free from their patterns that sabotage their results. But I didn't figure this out in some textbook or medical training alone. I figured it out through my certifications, my experience, and realizing that everything I'd been taught about post surgical eating was missing the most important piece of the puzzle. As both a certified nutrition coach and a bariatric coach who's walked this journey personally, I've seen how the traditional advice fails again and again, not just for folks like me, but for the clients I work with who are high achieving professionals struggling with these same patterns. And what I discovered changed everything, not just for my own maintenance, but for the systematic approach I now use to help my clients eliminate grazing completely. In the next 15 minutes, I'm going to show you exactly why traditional advice about grazing fails so miserably for post surgical patients, what's really driving this behavior that has nothing to do with hunger, and the exact system I use with my clients to eliminate grazing completely. So here's what we're going to cover. First, why your medical team's advice about eat 3 meals and stop snacking actually makes grazing worse. Second, the 3 real drivers of post-surgical grazing that no one ever talks about. And third, my executive reset method that eliminates grazing without relying on willpower, because willpower is not a strategy. And finally, how to implement this starting today, even with your crazy schedule. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why you've been struggling with this. And more importantly, you'll have a clear path to stop it for good. Here's what every post surgical patient gets told: just eat your 3 meals, stop snacking. Use portion control, have more willpower. This advice isn't just unhelpful, it's actually harmful. And here's why. Your surgery changed your stomach, but it didn't change this. Your brain didn't change your stress response. It didn't change the fact that you're a high achieving professional working 50 to 60 to 70-hour weeks in a pressure cooker environment. And when you try to white nickel your way through grazing with willpower, you're asking your high achieving executive brain, the same brain that makes 100 decisions a day at work, to make even more decisions about food. And decision fatigue is real. By 7 p.m., after a day of board meetings, crisis management, and putting out fires, your decision-making capacity is shot. That's exactly when most of my clients find themselves grazing before working with me, and it's not a coincidence. But here's the part that will blow your mind. The grazing actually serves the function. Your brain has learned that those handful of nuts, those bites of cheese, those mindless nibbling while you're reviewing emails, it temporarily reduces your stress response. Bet you didn't think that's what was happening. So when you try to stop grazing with willpower alone, you're not just fighting a habit, you're fighting your brain's primary stress management system. And guess who wins that battle every single time? It's not you. This is why the advice to just stop snacking fails 95% of the time for post-surgical patients. You're not lacking willpower. You're lacking a system that addresses what's actually happening. So what is even actually happening, okay? After working with post-surgical clients and doing the research on my own on post-bariatric behaviors, I have identified 3 core drivers that have nothing to do with hunger. Driver number 1, cognitive overload. Your brain is processing an insane amount of information all day long. Strategic decisions, people management, problem solving, and by evening, your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for executive function, is exhausted. And research from Stanford University on cognitive load shows that knowledge workers process the equivalent of 174 newspapers worth of information daily, 5 times more than in the year 1986. For executives, this number is even higher. Neuroscience studies using fMRI scans have shown that when the prefrontal cortex is overloaded, the brain automatically seeks low-effort activities that provide immediate reward. Grazing becomes your brain's way of taking a micro break. Those few seconds of mechanical eating give your overloaded cognitive system a monetary rest. It's actually a coping mechanism for mental fatigue, not physical hunger. Brain imaging studies show that repetitive, low-stakes activities like eating activate the default mode network, your brain's rest state. Driver number 2, transition ritual disruption. Research on habit formation from MIT shows that our brains rely heavily on environmental cues and ritual patterns to manage daily transitions. Most high achievers used to have clear transition rituals between work and personal life. Maybe it was a workout, maybe it was a glass of wine, maybe it was time to cook a real meal. But after surgery, many of those rituals got disrupted. You can't drink alcohol the same way you used to due to altered absorption rates. And working out feels harder because of energy fluctuations. Cooking elaborate meals isn't practical because of your smaller stomach capacity. And studies on habit substitution show that when established routines are disrupted, the brain will create new ones to fill the same psychological need. So your brain creates a new transition ritual, grazing. It becomes the bridge between your high-stress workday and your personal time. The problem is, research from the Journal of Behavioral Medicine shows that food-based transition rituals in post-bariatric patients are linked to 40% higher rate of weight regain within 2 years. Driver number 3, control paradox. Here's the most insidious one. Backed by fascinating research. As a high achiever, you're used to controlling outcomes through effort and strategy, but post-bariatric eating requires a completely different kind of control, one that feels completely foreign. Studies on post-bariatric psychology published in Obesity Surgery Journal show that high-achieving patients often struggle most with the loss of food control paradox. You can't control your way through hunger and fullness cues that are now different. You can't strategy your way through a stomach that processes food differently than it used to. And research on control compensation theory shows that when people feel like they've lost control in one area of their life, they unconsciously seek to regain it in related areas. So your brain seeks control through the one thing that feels familiar. Constant small decisions about food gives you the illusion of control. You're choosing when and what to eat throughout the day. But paradoxically, research shows that this actually increases feelings being out of control because it creates unpredictable eating patterns that do not align with your body's new physiological needs. And a study following 200 high-achieving bariatric patients found that those who scored highest on needs for control personality assessments were 60% more likely to develop grazing patterns within 18 months post-surgery. See how none of this has anything to do with hunger. This is why telling someone to just eat 3 meals is like telling someone with insomnia to just eat 8 hours. You're adjusting the symptom, not the neurological and psychological symptoms driving the behavior. Now that you understand what's really happening, let me give you the exact system I use with some of my clients to eliminate grazing completely, and it's called the executive reset method. It's based on behavioral psychology research specifically adapted to post-bariatric high achieving professionals. And component number one, the transition reset. Research from Charles Duhigg's work on habit loops shows that the most effective way to change behavior isn't to eliminate it, but to substitute it with a new behavior that serves the same neurological reward. Instead of using food as your work to home transition, you need to replace the ritual that serves the same function, but it has to be just as easy and accessible as grazing. So, studies on transition rituals show they need three key elements. They must be simple, under 5 minutes, immediately accessible, no special equipment, and provide a clear psychological shift. The ritual has to signal to your brain work is over, personal time beginning. And research from the University of Southern California found that when people establish non-food transition rituals, their stress eating incidence decreased by 73% within 30 days. Food can't be your only transition mechanism. Component number two, strategic timing structure. Most post-surgery patients think they should eat whenever they feel like it, but research on decision fatigue shows this actually increases grazing because it removes structure. Studies published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that structured eating patterns in post-bariatric patients led to 45% better weight maintenance at 2-year follow-up compared to intuitive eating approaches. And I have my clients plan exactly 5 eating windows. It's what is most successful because having clear boundaries prevents the constant decision-making that leads to grazing. Neuroscience research shows that when you know your next planned eating time, your brain can relax instead of constantly scanning for food opportunities. And this reduces what researchers called food vigilance, the mental energy spent thinking about when and what to eat next. Component number 3, environment optimization. Your environment is stronger than your willpower. Period. This is not motivational speaking. It's hard science. Research from Cornell University's Food and Brand Lab shows that environmental factors account for over 200 food decisions per day that we're not consciously aware of. If there are grazable foods in your immediate environment when you're cognitively depleted, guess what? You're going to graze on them. Grazers are going to graze. Studies on cognitive depletion and food choice show that when willpower is low, people consistently choose whatever food is most accessible, regardless of their intentions or goals. This doesn't mean restricting yourself or creating food rules. That's not the answer. It means being strategic about what's accessible when you're in decision fatigue mode. Research shows that simply increasing the effort required to access certain foods by 20 seconds reduces consumption by up to 40%. Component number 4, cognitive offloading. This is the secret sauce, backed by research on working memory and stress eating. Instead of using grazing to give your brain a break, you need better ways to offload cognitive burden. Studies from UCLA on excessive writing show that spending just 2 to 3 minutes writing down thoughts and concerns reduces your cortisol levels by 23% and significantly decreases stress-related episodes. I teach some of my clients a 2-minute brain dump technique. Before you even think about food in the evening, spend 2 minutes writing down everything still running through your head from work, projects, concerns, things you need to remember tomorrow. Research published in Psychological Science show that this technique literally frees up working memory, the mental bandwidth your brain uses to hold and process information. And when your working memory isn't maxed out, your brain doesn't need to seek relief through automatic behaviors like grazing. And the beautiful thing about the executive reset protocol is that it works with your high achiever nature instead of against it. And research on personality types and weight management shows that high achieving individuals respond better to systematic approaches than restriction-based methods by a factor of 3 to 1. Let me show you exactly what this costs you when you don't address it using real data. If you're grazing an extra 300 calories per day, which research shows is the average for post-bariatric patients who report mindless eating in the evening. That seems small, right? But here's the math that's going to shock you. 300 calories equals 2,100 calories weekly. 1 pound of fat storage requires approximately 3,500 excess calories. That's almost a full pound of potential fat storage every 3.5 weeks. Over a year, that's 15 pounds of regain from grazing alone. Studies tracking post-bariatric weight regain show that this pattern is so common. Fragile regain that patients don't notice until it becomes significant. Now, here's the really painful part, is that research from the American Society of Metabolic and Bariatric Surgery shows the average cost of bariatric surgery is $23,000 to $35,000 out of pocket. And you don't invest that amount just to gradually gain back 15 pounds a year from mindlessly evening eating. But the cost isn't just physical. Studies on post-bariatric quality of life, that weight regain creates what researchers called psychological burden, the mental energy spent fighting with yourself about food. And research published in obesity reviews found that post-bariatric patients experiencing regain spend an average of 90 minutes daily thinking about food, weight, and eating behaviors. That's 547 hours per year, over 13 full work weeks of mental energy consumed by food anxiety. What would it be worth to eliminate all of that, to feel completely confident and in control around food in the evening, to stop the regain before it becomes significant, to finally align your food success with your professional success? If you're thinking right now, this all makes sense, Jessica, but I need help implementing this for my specific situation, then I want to invite you to book a complimentary bariatric success connection call with me. In this strategy session, we're going to identify your specific grazing triggers, create a personalized implementation plan that works with your schedule, and design your custom method. But these calls are limited because I personally conduct each one, and I only work with people who are serious about protecting their surgical investment. So you invested thousands of dollars into surgery because you were ready to change your life. Don't let grazing steal that investment from you. So book a call in the link below. And thanks so much for watching. I can't wait to see you in the next one.